Social media is something that takes up a lot of our headspace, a lot of our time. Time, attention, and energy goes into this little box. Social media is a great tool for sharing experiences and building community, but there's also a collective culture and way social media is that leads to a lot of downsides. It's a skewed version of reality that promotes certain things as normal, but aren't actually normal at all. Social media is a highlight reel. Very rarely do people post and share about their lowest moments, about the days where they don't feel good, or the places they may go every day that have ugly interior design. Instead, you're seeing people's best moments, when they look their best, when they've accomplished something, and the beautiful places they visited. I feel like if you get too deep in it, that's when the comparisons start. And yes, we've all heard comparison is the thief of joy, but it's true. You can start to feel like everyone else has it together and I don't. My life is a mess. Everyone else is ahead, everyone else is doing better. It's really important to put things in perspective for yourself whenever you start to envy someone else's life. You don't really know that person, whoever came to mind for you. You don't know what they've been through, what they may currently be going through. But one thing you can know for sure is that no one's life is without friction, is without conflict, or lacks the ugly moments. And that doesn't mean that person that came to mind for you has a bad life. It just means that anything you get, any situation that you may elevate to, comes with problems. Social media is a highlight reel and therefore not an accurate representation of what somebody's life is, let alone their inner world. The For You page and Explore page is constantly pushing these stories where someone is successful at something almost overnight, and it gives us fingertip access to celebrities. So we feel like everyone is becoming rich and famous super effortlessly. The reality is we just have more access to those stories via social media, and we have constant access to the curated social media feeds of rich and famous people. Social media is also creating these people. All the time it feels like someone's videos are going viral overnight and just as quickly become very wealthy and connected internet personalities. But out of all the people posting on the internet, this huge blow up is only happening to a small handful of people. What pushes me as a content creator is knowing that a majority of successful full-time creators, not even the ones with millions of followers, had to consistently show up for a few years before seeing the exponential trend of growth that started for them. It's like anything else that you have to work toward. Building a solid community online takes time and consistency, and that effort really can't be avoided. And even though all the time we're seeing the exceptions to the rule, that doesn't necessarily make that the new rule. But that goes for most things and most goals that we may have. Fitness goals, academic goals, career goals. Social media can convince you that everyone else is completing these things and accomplishing them so much faster than you, even overnight. And that's not really the case. It's just because the small handful of people who get those kinds of breaks are in your phone all day showing you what they got. Social media is also like the new TV. How does TV work and how do networks get their money? They have entertaining shows and programs to get people watching, but then they sell commercial time to companies. Those companies advertise their products through commercials. Companies are now paying creators to make content promoting their products. Those promotions are either integrated into that creator's content or is an interruption of it. I don't find anything fundamentally wrong with paid partnerships. I do paid partnerships when it makes sense. However, I think the collective culture promotes overconsumption. Does anyone else remember this? But back in the late 2000s, early 2010s, that's when I started watching beauty YouTubers as like a young tween. I remember the drawers, deep drawers full of beauty products. And today it's very much the same thing. The algorithms definitely push that kind of content out because people watch it. Recently, I saw this video where a person was like, I have every color Stanley Cup, and they were like showing the wall of Stanley Cups that they have. That being said, all these people have the same cup. The cup changes every year. Everyone had a Hydro Flask, and then everyone had a Stanley Cup, and then now like everyone has an Awala. For me in my household, I use the same bottle until it falls apart. I drop it and it gets a huge dent or it breaks. But you could apply this to anything. There's a blush everyone's buying that you have to buy. A new lip gloss, these shoes, no, these shoes. And after some time scrolling, it can definitely make you feel like you need to go shopping, like you need to swipe your card, but you don't. It's one thing to be out of something, to be in need of something, and then decide to try a new product because you need more of it. It's another thing to have multiples of that product and keep buying more. It isn't necessarily normal to have an excess of everything. Not everyone has 6 water bottles. Having 1, maybe 2 is reasonable. But social media is going to disproportionately promote overconsumption when that's not the norm. So there's overconsumption of buying and materials, but there's also overconsumption of information. We have access to everything that's happening in the world at our fingertips. Every tragedy happening at our fingertips. That's pretty unprecedented for humans, because before you maybe had like the news on TV, even before that, just the newspaper, but information was delivered at a much slower rate. And there's no way that you were privy to everything happening, especially if it didn't affect your community, but you are today. There's something to be said about wanting to be informed about what's going on in the world. So you go on social media and you learn about things. You watch videos, engage in commentary. You can absolutely overdo it for yourself. Information overload. You don't need to consume everything that's out there to be an informed member of society, because it is unprecedented to have this amount of information at your fingertips. And it's okay to feel like it's draining, because it is. You can give your mind a break. Anyway, those are the things that social media convinces us is normal, but definitely isn't. Overusing social media is a huge problem for many of us. Check out my video on how I overcame it. I'll link the video in the comments.
Get up here!